Hey, this is Larry Osborne here again, and we're taking a look at this whole idea of preaching for life change. And I've already got a couple of short videos. The first one talked about the two greatest temptations that we can have as preachers. And then we talked about the Mars Hill problem and the idea that maybe all of that cleverness and persuasiveness and just amazing connection to culture that Paul had in Athens at Mars Hill wasn't quite as significant from his viewpoint as it would be from ours. And picking up on that, I want to talk about some things that we tend to confuse that undercut our ability to really preach for life change. And one of those is when we confuse entertaining with teaching, and the other is when we confuse familiarity with knowledge. Let me give you the 4 different steps that people go through when they go from I don't know anything about this to I fully understand it, which is, of course, where we want to take people in their discipleship journey and with our teaching. Well, the first step, and as a communicator, it's a blast to be there, is a step that I like to call wow. And wow is when you bring a new insight, a new principle, maybe a biblical passage, and people have never heard it before. And that you can just see it in their eyes, this sense of, wow, this is so cool. And as a teacher, man, there's nothing that feels better. Let's be honest about that. But after wow, the next stage is, oh yeah, I forgot about it. And that's where you have a new insight, a principle that maybe you've exposed them to before, but they don't know it all that well. They haven't heard it that many times. And next to wow, the next coolest response to get is that, oh yeah, that's right. And you see them writing it down and you feel really good about it. The problem is, as Bible teachers, there's a temptation to spend all of our time trying to get those 2 responses. Always looking for the newest passage, always looking for the newest illustration because we just feed off the wow or the oh yeah. And the next stage is one that is, frankly, pretty frightening for most of us who teach. And that's the stage where you get that bored look. That sense of, oh no, not again, I've heard it before. And if we're not willing to go through that, oh yeah, I've heard it before. If we're not willing to put up with boring people a little bit, and I don't mean in the whole message, but I mean in some of the principles, if we're not willing to do that, we will never really get to true knowledge. Because to get to true knowledge is when they know it without me. So there's wow, there's oh yeah, and then there's that difficult valley called I know you're bored, but I'm not giving up yet because you still don't know it without me. And my suggestion is if we want to really preach for life change, we have to be folks that are willing to work through the board because our goal is not to impress. Our goal is that they know it without us. One of the things that happens here at North Coast Church fairly often is that somebody will come up with a note sheet and they will actually have filled out almost all of the notes, or maybe all of them, before the message. And they give it to us, and they have this sense of like, oh yeah, I really got you. But what they don't understand is when they give me that, they haven't got me, I've got them. They now actually know it without me being there. And come on, folks, at the end of the day, isn't that what we're teaching the Bible for? Not so that we think we're great Bible teachers, but so that they know how to live a little bit more in obedience to Jesus Christ. Hey, if you found this helpful, be sure to subscribe, and that way you'll be noticed every time we come up with one of these new videos.